Fox News contributor and former White House press secretary. Great to see you. You know, I want to throw that graphic back up because when you talk about the disparities of how these men have been treated, particularly the two former presidents, Trump and Biden, when you see scenes like a raid roll out on Donald Trump and then several locations now where things have been found, classified items for Joe Biden, but nothing like that raid on camera. And when you see the difference in the coverage of these two men across the board, legacy media versus Fox and maybe another one, maybe another two, what does that tell you when you see these numbers? Does any of that play a role in the public's mind?
Well, look, even though President Trump reportedly did not honor a subpoena and he, as a result, was raided by the FBI, what I do not understand is why they went in with their guns blazing, why they surrounded Mar-a-Lago, those scenes of people, FBI agents with their guns outside. They treated Trump like a common criminal when they're treating Joe Biden like the President of the United States who's getting white glove privilege. And I also can't help but wonder, they found no documents in Rehoboth today or yesterday. Joe Biden was there the previous weekend.
Yes, he was.
Did Joe Biden, when he was there in the midst of all of this, search for documents, find anything, and not tell anybody?
Ooh. Boy, you didn't even flinch when you asked that question. Because it is the question of the day.
It's
that's
logical.
Where
it's
he
common
went.
sense, right?
Yeah, that's the house he
Yes.
went to as refuge while they searched the other house, which we didn't even find out about contemporaneously. It was the drip.
And
Oh, by the way, he's at his other
give
house.
us any information. Yeah, we're not getting any information out of the White House. So logic says if you're finding classified documents everywhere, you go to your beach house and you look for them and you see if you find them. But they won't tell us if they did or didn't, so we don't know. It's bad. I mean, for Joe Biden, who claimed the aura of responsibility, this is reckless. This is reckless by the President of the United States, by the former Vice President, and certainly by Senator Biden walking out of a skiff with classified documents. The only issue that remains is what will they do to him, and who else saw these classified documents? What happened to national security?
Yeah, I mean, that's critical. You don't think that he pays $1,000 an hour attorneys to go move his stuff on a regular. I don't believe that. So who's been moving him over the years?
Great
and if he's had
point.
some of these classified documents in the 15 years since he was in Senate, well, who was moving all that stuff? Who's paying for all that? I hope our money didn't pay for that, as taxpayers.
Exactly right.
I have so many questions. All right, let's move. Get used to seeing more of the second gentleman, Doug Emhoff. There he is. Fresh off weighty trip through Europe. The vice president's spouse will be part of a United States mission at the United Nations next week. His rise comes as many in the White House, those insiders, are concerned that Vice President Kamala Harris is not pulling her weight. And they're taking note of how often she's mocked for her skills as a communicator. Just this week, she had another cringe-worthy moment at a ceremony for two former astronauts. Seems like a simple assignment.
Bob and Doug returned to the Kennedy Space Center. They suited up, they waved to their families, and they rode an elevator up nearly 20 stories. And then they launched. Yeah, they did.
Oh, wow. Meanwhile, the latest Fox News polling finds the vice president's job approval is at a dismal 39%. Ari Fleischer, what say you?
Well, just listening to those remarks, she gives speeches, she talks as if she's reading a pop-up book to a group of 4-year-olds.
Oh.
I mean, the intonation, the way she speaks, I mean, she's not a serious vice president. She wasn't a serious candidate. She flops in the public eye. And that's because we see who she truly is. You ask anybody in California who knew her as Attorney General, they'll say she wasn't up to the job then. As a senator, she was able to sort of just hide in rhetorical salads because a lot of them do that. And now as vice president, it just shows. So we have a vice president who's utterly incapable of ever becoming president. And that's worrisome. I will say this. I salute her husband. I think what he's doing, particularly elevating the issue of anti-Semitism, is worthy. It is right. And I won't do to him what the Democrats did to then Vice President Cheney's wife, Lynn Cheney, where they criticized her because she was conservative. I don't care what the vice president's husband's politics are. When he does things like this, he's doing good, and we as Americans should be proud that he's standing up against anti-Semitism.
I will say this, and it's an important issue and critical to point it out. He's not the person who was elected, though. So a year ago, he told reporters, "I'm just getting into public service, but I love it. I wish I'd done it earlier." And now he's repping our nation in international delegations. Just a last quick thought. And again, notwithstanding that important topic, but.
Well, it does draw the contrast to why is he capable of it and his wife is not. And that's my bigger point about we have a vice president who cannot become the president of the United States. She's not qualified. She wasn't chosen because she could step right in and do the job if, God forbid, something happened. She was chosen for other democratic reasons, and inside the Democratic Party reasons. So, you know, again, the role of spouses, I try to be polite to them. I don't think they should be thrown into the political fire unless they throw themselves into it. And I have seen no evidence that her husband is doing that. So I separate the two issues, her lack of qualifications versus his qualifications.
Boy, that's rough and real. Always from Ari Fleischer. Thank you. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.